What's good, people? This your boy Cincy, aka Mr. Good Vibes, and welcome back to my YouTube channel. How are you guys doing? How is 2025 going? My prayer is that the Lord Almighty will continue to protect and guide you in the mighty name of Jesus. Now, with that being said, today I'm just going to be keeping it as brief as possible, and I'm going to be talking about the market update and also going to be talking about the Netflix earnings. So for those of you who have been following me for some time, you already know whenever I'm talking about the market updates, I typically look at three things or three indexes, which is the SPX 500, the US 30, and the NASDAQ 100. Now, today my main focus is going to be on NASDAQ 100. And I've decided to use what I call a scoring system to kind of see what direction do I think these indexes are going. And the scoring system typically goes between a bull signal and a bear signal. And if between the two of them, I try to see which of those signals have the most score, and that will determine what I think the direction of the market is going to be going. So if it's a bull signal, then you know the market is going to be going up, and if it's a bear signal, then you know the market is going to be going down. So prior to the inauguration, you guys know I was getting a lot of bear signals on these three indexes, but today, after my calculation of my scoring system, I'm beginning to see some bullish signal. Now, before I dive into the chart, I just want to show you guys quickly what the scoring system looks like, and this is exactly what it looks like. So for those of you who have been following me for some time, you already know how I calculate these things, but if you're interested in knowing how I calculate these scores, you can simply just come down to my page and watch some of my videos. And some of the videos I'm talking about would be, this is taking some time to load up, give me a minute. This video is right here, so you can see you can watch this video, you can watch this one, and watch this one. So any of these videos will show you how I typically get these numbers. So I'm not going to explain that in this video. So what are these numbers? So you can see I have my US 30, my NASDAQ 100, and my SPX 500, my three major indexes. And you can see I have a bull bear signals that I calculate, and the D here represents daily and the W here represents weekly. So these are the indicators that I typically use. It's the same one that I use for daily that I use for weekly. So you can see for the US 30, I'm getting 14 bull signals with respect to 19 bear signals. So which means that the direction of this index is going up because I'm getting more of the bull signals. For the NASDAQ 100, which typically pertains to the technology or tech industries, you can see that today I'm getting 18 bull signals and just 4 bear signals. So you can see the NASDAQ 100 is very, very strong, and this is a very, very bullish signal, which I believe that the NASDAQ 100 is about to explode in the next couple of days. Now, the next one is the SPX 500, which is in fact the main one that typically shows the direction of the US market, right? And you can see I'm getting 16 bull signals and 6 bear signals. So you can see the direction of this index is supposed to be going up. So again, I'm not going to explain how I got these numbers. You can please watch my other videos and see exactly how I come about this scoring system. So you can see the three major indexes are showing strong bullish signals, right? So now let's quickly dive into the charts and see what's going on. So you can see this is the NASDAQ 100 chart, and you can see currently NASDAQ 100 is actually up 91.4 points or 0.4%. And there's a particular reason for that. That's because we had quite a lot of good news that came out this week, and one of them is the fact that the US government is going to be investing heavily in AI, as just President Trump mentioned. Again, yes, President Trump is actually back in the office again. So we expect to see a lot of interesting times ahead of us. And the second thing is the fact that today was also the earnings for Netflix. Now, why is Netflix very, very important for the NASDAQ 100? I want to show you guys something real quick. So for the NASDAQ 100, it simply means the top 100 tech companies in the US based on market cap. Now, it doesn't necessarily mean all these companies are tech companies, but it's just all the companies that are inside these companies. So you can see this is a list of the top 16 that we see. But if you scroll down, I believe they are about 101 to be exact. So it's about 101 to be exact. So, but we still call them NASDAQ 100. So you can see the leading stock here is Apple, but today we had Netflix earnings, which is number 11. You can also see that we have what we call a portfolio percentage, which means how much of an influence are these stocks having on this index. So you can see Apple being number one. If anything bad happens to Apple, if Apple was to crash, then most likely you're going to see the NASDAQ 100 being affected, right? So and vice versa, if Apple was doing or performing well, then you're going to see the NASDAQ 100 moving to the upside. And again, you can see number 2 years Nvidia, but number 11 years where I want to talk about Netflix. And I'm also going to be showing a video in the next couple of days which of these stocks in the NASDAQ 100 I'm looking to buy right now, or which ones are actually looking very, very good that I think you should buy right now, again, or what I would buy. So I'm going to tell you what to do. So let's quickly go and see why is Netflix up today. So before we go, let's quickly see what Netflix is doing. So you can see after market today, but after hours today, actually today, Netflix was up 1.35%, which is about 11.58 points. And after hours, when the earnings drop, you can see Netflix soured 14.39%, which is about 125 points. Yes, you can see this is how flat Netflix was today. Closed at around 869 and just surged up or gapped up after hours when the earnings dropped to about 940 points, 994 points and 80 cents, which is close to $1,000 now. And the reason is because Netflix released record-breaking subs. So you can see the company surpassed the 300 million paid membership during the quarter, adding a record 19 million subscribers. 19 million subscribers. Again, Netflix beat on the top and bottom lines for fourth quarter and also raised its 2025 revenue forecast. So the guidance was even better. So it was a lot of good news all around for Netflix, which is why we saw that huge 15% move in the after hours. Now, with that being said, let's just quickly take a look at the NASDAQ 100 chart and see exactly why this looks good. So you can see on my chart here, you can see that I do have a trend line, and on the trend line, you can see that I was waiting for the price to break this trend line. So before during the holidays after the last FOMC meeting, you can see that we've touched this trend line and we had a little bit of retracement. Went back, touched it, have a retracement again, touched it again, and retraced down, and we found support, at this level before we now finally went back up. But this time around, we didn't just touch it and retrace down. We broke that trend line, which is what we want to see exactly. Another thing I also want you to pay attention to is the fact that we have a B sign and a green arrow. So the B sign simply means buy, and the green arrow means the direction of the market of this index is going to be going to the upside. So which is why you're going to be seeing a lot of those stocks in that index most likely to perform. Now, another thing you also want to pay attention to is the fact that the price, or which is these candlesticks, are now above my baseline. So my baseline is this green line and red line, okay? And you can see the fact that this price is above the baseline, that is a good sign. And also the price is now above my Ichimoku. So you can see it's a lot of bullish signals that I'm seeing on the NASDAQ 100. If I was to go down and look at what's below, the indicators below, these are what I call my secondary charts. You can see the likes of my SMI. You can see I see a bullish crossover because the green now is above the red. But if the red was above the green, then that would be more of a bearish signal. So the fact that I have the green above the red, that is definitely good. Another thing I'm seeing here that gives me this optimism that I believe the NASDAQ index is about to explode is the fact that we see three lines, right? We see this is my zero line, which means my two signal lines are now beginning to go above zero. So we are now beginning to go into that bullish territory. If you're below zero, like we saw around here, you can see that's more the bearish territory of this setup. Now, another thing is these white lines, they mean something. this is oversold and this is overbought. So you can see that currently this line has a lot of room to go before we get to that overbought level. So this means that there is a lot of explosion or a lot of upside move that has been expected for the NASDAQ 100. But how do you know the stocks that are going to perform in the NASDAQ 100? We can definitely use the same principles that I'm using to actually cherry pick the ones that we like. So not everything in that box looks good. Again, I'm going to be dropping a video showing you guys which ones are the most preferred, or what are my preferred stocks in this NASDAQ 100 basket components. So the next one is my DD. You can see my DD. Again, these indicators are the same indicators that you would see on here that I've already labeled here. So you can see the ASGMA, SSL, Ichimoku baseline are all the same indicators to see. Again, if you want to know which ones they are, just go watch my previous videos that I explained, and please don't forget to like, share and subscribe. So you can see the DD on this other end, it's actually above my zero line. This is my zero line, and the green line is my signal line. So if the signal line is above zero, then that is a bullish signal. But if you see the signal line below zero, then that will be more of a bearish signal in this case. Now the next one is my MACD. Now the MACD shows two things which I like. Again, we have the red and the green bars, and this is oversold and that is the overbought. Right now you also have the zero line, and you also have the colored bars. So if you go from red to green, then that is a buy signal. And also if my bars are above zero, then that means they are now in that bullish territory or that bullish environment. And now sometimes you get red bars, but the red bars too can also be below zero, which means they are now in that bearish territory with a bearish signal, right? I hope I'm making sense. So the fact that we are yet to touch this overbought territory, I think there's a lot of room to go, which is why I think NASDAQ 100 is most likely going to explode in the next couple of days. And tomorrow might actually be a good day, concerning the fact that Netflix actually released a very, very good earnings, and you can see where Netflix actually ranked in my NASDAQ 100 components that I just showed you guys. Now the next one is my TSI. You can see TSI again, the signal line is above zero, and that is definitely a bullish signal. If the TSI was below zero or the signal was below zero, that would be more of a bearish signal. Again, I'm taking multiple indicators, combining them to see where they align and if they are all saying the same thing. So you want all of them to say the same thing in order for you to trust your particular instrument. So this same application can be applied to not just indexes, can be applied to stocks, can be applied to forex, can be applied to oil, anything. So again, I'm going to be showing you guys one of the best ways to trade forex using this same indicators. Now the last one is my ASH. You can see the green is above the red, and that is definitely a bullish signal. If the red was above the green, then that would be more of a bearish signal or sell signal. So you can see we have a complete sweep on the daily chart for the NASDAQ 100, which I believe is what's going to take us there. So I think again this is the all-time high level for the NASDAQ 100, and I believe this is going to be where we are going to be heading in the next couple of weeks. And this might be a good time for you to actually, trade these futures. And for those of us who don't trade futures, it's okay. You can actually buy some options. And how can you buy some options? If you take a look at this website one more time, you can see that we have what we call stock index ETFs. So you can see to the S&P 500 or the XPX 500, the ETF that is related to this is the SPY or the SPY, and you can actually look at your options chain, and I'm sure you definitely find this guy. So for the NASDAQ 100, you can see that it's attributed to the QQQ. So that would be the QQQ ETF that you want to play if you're looking for an options play to play if you're interested in buying this index. I typically trade futures, and sometimes I play options, but if I was to play the options for NASDAQ 100, I'll definitely be buying the QQQ. And for the Dow Jones or the US 30, then that's going to be more of the DIA. Hope I'm making sense here, right? Definitely. Now, some of the things you also want to pay attention to is the fact that we have I always take a look at my calendar. My calendar gives me an idea of what are some of the economic news that are coming up in the next couple of days. And sometimes this news always tend to have an impact on the market, which means, this red bar, this red colors mean that they are high impact news which you have to pay attention to. And one of the news you have to pay attention to this week is the one coming out on January 23rd, which is going to be tomorrow, Thursday, not today. Okay, so tomorrow, it's going to be on January 23rd. And you want to pay attention to the President Trump is going to be speaking. So whenever President Trump speaks, the market can be very, very volatile. So for those of us who are new to the game, I understand that you might have not experienced the Trump market. Trump market is very volatile. So you also have to pay attention to when Trump is speaking, because he can tend to say some things that can just, entice the market. So you have to be very, very careful. So you can see the USD is the currency that is going to be affected, or the US market is going to be the ones that are going to be affected in this case. The other news that you have to pay attention to is also the unemployment claims. So unemployment claims, as you guys know, before the holiday, the Fed came out and mentioned that they are not going to be cutting any more rates this year, as they believe that they are receiving a lot of good data related to the economy, and that is giving them every excuse not to cut rates. So you can imagine the Feds have been fighting inflation for some time now, but the fact that the inflation data continues to remain under control with good data, that is forcing the Fed's hand not to cut rates. So we're going to be seeing what the unemployment claims are going to be looking at. So you can see we are looking at the forecast of 221 and the previous was 217. So if we get a number higher than 221, then that is definitely going to be good news for us, I believe, because that would indicate that the economy is not doing as good as the Feds think, because that means there are more people that are unemployed. So this might actually force the Feds to cut rates eventually, which again, with President Trump coming into power, you can remember what happened the last time. It's definitely going to be influencing the Fed chairman, Chairman Powell, to cut the rates, because cutting the rates is good for the economy. High rates is not good for the economy, because that allows companies to reduce spending, and what they will normally do is, in order for them to raise money, it's definitely going to backfire to the employees, which means they will need to lay off some staffs in order for them to raise money. As to if the rates were lower, then what happens is that these companies can tend to borrow money at a lower interest, so that way they don't use all their revenue to pay off their interest. So again, I hope I'm making sense here. And the same thing goes for the housing market. A lot of people are not going to be buying homes if the interest rate is on the high side, because they don't want to pay that much interest to the bank with respect to their principal. So it will take you longer to pay off your mortgage than you expect. So again, if we continue to receive bad data, we want to receive bad data will force the Feds to reduce rates. But good data is not good for the market, because that will give the Feds confidence that the market is able to, or the economy is able to withstand inflation currently with the current statistics that they are getting with respect to the economy. Now, I hope that is making sense to you guys. Again, that's just what I wanted to explain today. Like I said, I'm not going to be talking too much today, but in my next couple of videos, I want to show you guys how I trade Forex using the same indicators, and showing you guys one of the best ways to actually do it, right? Okay, hope that makes sense. Now, again, it's your boy Sensei, aka Mr. Good Vibes, and let's make some small money together, even if it's just a little.